Major Tom.
We've been expecting you, Mr. Boyd.
His is the worst voice you will ever hear.
Will he offer me his teeth?
The Tommy Boyds Show will teach you nothing. Nothing.
Always read the label.
Nothing but iniquity and wickedness.
If you really bug me, then I'll say goodbye.
Good morning, motoring. Help is at hand for the beleaguered motorist, the gasping pedestrian. The nation whose economy is being bled dry by the cost of the petrodollar. But above all, help is at hand for our long-suffering, in silence, our long-suffering taxi drivers. Whether we're talking about minicabs or whether we're talking about black cabs. These knights of the road have long ploughed that furrow alone. Well, thanks to a new scheme which is starting up in Gateshead, which really is a happening place at the moment, isn't it? In so many ways, called Thumbs Up. We could be facing emptier roads, safer pavements, cleaner air, perhaps best of all, happy, chirpy, smiling, whistling cab drivers. Free call 0500 10 53 89. It's a brilliant idea, and it's so simple. It's called Thumbs Up. If you as a motorist are prepared to go to your police station and sign on for a thumbs up sticker, which goes in the left of your windscreen just above the tax disc, okay, you will receive a discount on your tax, B, preferred rates at car parks. But if you do sign up for the thumbs up scheme and you're driving along and a pedestrian indicates that they would very much like a lift by sticking their thumb out, then you'll be required to stop, find out where they're going, and if they're heading in more or less the same direction as you, then you'll be gently required to take them as far as you can on their way. If they want to give you 10 pence or 50 pence for the petrol, that's entirely between you and the pedestrian. But hasn't our civilization been begging for a scheme like this for decades? Free call 0500 10 53 89. Why haven't we got our heads around something as straightforward and beneficial as this a long, long time ago? If this scheme works, and of course it will, then it's only going to be a matter of months before hopefully it will be tried and applied across the rest of the country. We all know, don't we, the problems that the enormous increase in the amount of traffic on the roads have delivered to Britain in terms of the mental well-being of people who are using the roads. In other words, road rage. Okay. Point made, I'm sure. No argument there. We all know, although there are some who dispute it, we all know that the atmosphere that we breathe in Britain is very different from what it was just 100 years ago, and the belief is that the motor car has made a substantial contribution to that air pollution. Okay. So anything that can be done to reduce the number of machines on the road that are coughing out exhaust fumes, the better. So it will clean up the air. It will reduce the amount of traffic on the roads. It will encourage people to talk to one another, won't it? To be friendly. All those lone motorists sat in great long queues in their 17-foot-long saloon cars with nobody to talk to. It's an inefficient use of fossil fuels, and quite frankly, it just also, encasing them in steel as it does, it just makes the world a more antisocial place. But above all, this scheme is going to come to the aid of the taxi driver, for the simple reason that one imagines it is the case that there can be nothing more annoying if you are a taxi driver than being called out or flagged down by somebody who wants to go down to the end of the road, turn left, and then get out just before they get to the roundabout. You've hardly got into fourth gear when that fare is leaving you. They take all your change, and I would imagine that the profits to be made out of a £2.50 fare are absolutely negligible. Taxi drivers, we all know, want the £10 run. They want to take you to the airport or the coast, or Tashkent or Tuscany would be ideal. Now, these men and women have enough to put up with, quite frankly, without an army of lazy people and little old ladies who want to be taken round the corner with their dog and they've got their shopping. Taxi drivers don't need it. They too, just as the children who breathe our air, the people who walk our pavements, and the motorists who use our roads will welcome this marvellous thumbs-up scheme, so too will the taxi drivers. In fact, when the applause dies down, I'm sure the last section that we will hear clapping and stomping and whistling their approval will be Britain's trusty cab drivers. Free call 0500 10 53 89. I'm Tommy Boyd. This is Talk Radio. There's a good argument for listening. In celebration of the Thumbs Up scheme, especially if you're a cab driver, Mary calls from Perth. You're on Talk Radio. Mary.
Hi, Tommy. It sounds a good idea, but what if, like, you pick up somebody that's going to hurt you? Do you know what I mean? You know, like...
Well, you won't, will you? Because in order to get your Thumbs Up sticker, you've got to go to the police station and report and declare yourself, and that's where you get your Thumbs Up sticker. And the police wouldn't let anybody just any old person have a Thumbs Up sticker if they got a record or if they didn't like the look of them. They're good like that, the police, aren't they?
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Okay, nice speaking to you, Tommy.
Oh, well, it was fantastic clearing your mind up so quickly, Mary.
Oh. I remember you from Magpie.
Yeah, we're drifting now.
No, sorry. I just wanted to say that. And I loved Magpie, by the way. It was a brilliant programme. A lot better than...
It was an appalling programme, and I'm deeply ashamed of my involvement in it.
Oh, wee.
It was a corruption of youngsters.
Not at all.
It was.
Well, I enjoyed it.
Well, I didn't enjoy it, and unfortunately I signed up for a 3-year contract. My lawyers eventually got me out of it, and then the programme inevitably folded. Mm-hmm. But there
was Jenny Hanley and... What was his name? Robinson?
Something like that.
Aye. Okay, then I'll let you go.
Well, you will, won't you? Thank you so much for your call. Free call 0500 10 53 89. Mark calls from the West Midlands. Welcome to Talk Radio, Mark.
Hello.
Hello.
Have you ever heard of carjacking?
Carjacking, yes.
Yes. And
up it goes, and on goes the new wheel.
Yeah.
What's that got to do with anything?
No.
Yes.
Well, let's put it like this. Just say if you pull up and there's a chap, he's been for a drink, and you pull up, you open your door, you loose him into your car, and then next thing, bang, something happens. Plus, apart from carjacking...
But something always happens. That's one of the things in life. It never sort of goes into a void.
Yeah, well...
What are you saying, something happens? You're saying something unpleasant happens.
Yeah.
What?
Well, that's one of the things, basically, it is.
It is, isn't it? And this already goes on, does it?
Well, I've heard about it. I've never had it happen to myself.
You've met a bloke whose milkman got done over like this, something like that?
No, you're talking silly now.
I am?
Yeah. Anyway, another thing is...
I'm talking silly. I'm talking silly?
Well, basically.
Why is that, then? What am I saying that's silly?
Well, one thing, when you go for your insurance, they're asked if your car is going to be used for private hire.
Well, it's not going to be private hire. Thumbs Up isn't private hire.
Oh, but the thing is, if somebody pays you, it's being used for private hire.
Oh, but the thing is, nobody's paying anybody. And I'm talking silly.
Yeah.
Are we still with that one?
Yeah.
Nobody's paying anybody. If you make a voluntary contribution to somebody, that's not payment, is it? If you put 10 pence in the tin for guide dogs for the blind, you're not paying them, are you? You're donating the money. Same thing.
I wouldn't... Well, I think the insurance should see it a different way and try and put your insurance up.
Well, we don't care about them.
Norm.
We don't care about them, do we?
You want to bet?
You do?
Yeah.
It's been nice picking the bones clean with you there, Mark. Free call 0500 10 53 89. Let's be clear about the Thumbs Up scheme. It's very straightforward and it will work. You get a sticker that goes in your car which gives you a discount on your road tax and preferred rates at car parks. You can only get that sticker from the police station. If somebody who needs a lift is on the pavement and they see you going in their direction and they put their thumb out, then you're pretty much required to, in the same way that you're required to stop if you see somebody on waiting to cross on a zebra crossing. You are kind of required to, but, you know, if the circumstances dictate something else, nobody gets prosecuted for not being courteous. And the Thumbs Up scheme will work in the same way. It will depend on the goodness and sweetness of human nature. What a fine scheme it is. Okay? And if you're thumbing and someone passes with a thumbs up sign on the windscreen, they'll take you as far as they can, as long as it's not out of their way. They won't charge you anything, but if you want to give them 50 pence for the petrol because you've travelled 10 miles with them, That's down to you. What a marvellous scheme. What a wonderful scheme for the environment, for the motorist, for the pedestrian, above all, for the taxi driver who doesn't want to have to run people round the corner. Those £1.80 fares, that's the stuff of nightmares. Maxine calls from West Yorkshire. Welcome to Talk Radio, Maxine.
Hello. Well, it's rubbish what you're saying, Tommy. And the reason why it's rubbish is because who do you know you're letting in your car? There could be anybody.
Well, they are anybody.
Well, yeah, of course they are.
Yeah.
But there could be some nutcase, couldn't there? And I certainly wouldn't stop for anybody when I've got my child in the car with me.
Well, you wouldn't sign
And
up.
also, what about the person who's stopping the car?
We
They don't know who's the driver,
If
do
I
they?
was
So
a
they could be anybody as well.
I wouldn't let you sign up for the thumbs up scheme. You're too suspicious.
No, I'm careful.
I believe... No, you're not. You're paranoid.
No, I'm careful.
Paranoid.
Careful. You
There's
have
a
to be
thin-
careful in this day and age, Tommy.
When didn't you then?
Sorry?
When didn't you? You said in this day and age. When didn't you have to be careful? Think life was easy in medieval times?
Well, it wasn't as bad when I was a little girl, was it?
Everybody thinks that.
And I'm going back,
That's because our parents protected us from what was going on in the world.
and I protect my child. That's why I wouldn't let anybody in the car.
No, protect them from
Simple.
finding out about what goes on in the world. You're not simple. I wouldn't say that.
No, I'm
But
not simple.
maybe a
and I
bit
wouldn't
shallow.
say you're simple either.
I'm
You do
certainly
talk a
not
lot of
simple.
sense sometimes, but today you're not. Hello?
Yes, I was just receiving some information from a psychologist who's working on the programme this afternoon, who tells me that the intonation in your voice suggests that you're probably a very poor driver and wouldn't
Oh.
qualify to be part of the thumbs up scheme.
No, I'm a very careful driver.
Well, everybody says that. But you sound to me to be a little bit sudden.
Do I?
Yeah, you're somebody who stops suddenly for no apparent reason. Amber lights.
Overcautious.
No, I don't.
Overcautious.
No.
I bet you change down to second gear before you turn left off a major road, don't you?
I don't go turning about the streets and risking other people's lives
Well,
and
this is-
myself and my daughter's life.
Exactly.
No.
We don't want to hitch a lift with somebody who's going to take longer to get wherever
Well, I
we're
wouldn't
going
give
if we
someone a
would.
lift anyway.
You don't
I've
want
told
to.
you why.
We wouldn't accept you in the scheme.
Right. Well, that I wouldn't even apply.
Think of the ignominy when all your neighbours have got lovely, beautiful thumbs-up signs on their cars and you haven't. What a stigma. What a stigma. You'd be an
I
outcast.
don't follow fashion, Tommy.
Unclean,
I don't follow fashion.
poor driver.
No, I don't think so.
Oh, well. They're going to use the Angel of the North with his thumbs up to promote the scheme.
I believe I'm right.
Well, nobody ever believed they were wrong. Who believed they were wrong?
Well, from listening to what you've said, if I thought that, I'm wrong, I would say so.
Yeah.
But I don't believe I am.
Maxine, thank you very much indeed for your
Tommy.
call and love to your children. What can you do with some of these drivers, Ash?
I don't know, man, but the Angel of the North hasn't got any thumbs, I don't recall.
What?
He hasn't got any thumbs, the
They're going
Angel.
to stick a thumb on his wing.
But the artist will be furious.
No, not on the actual statue, for crying out loud, on the graphic.
Well, yeah,
on
he'll
the
still
sticker.
be furious. They're using his...
No, public domain. Public domain. It won't be long before we're getting cartoons of the Angel of the North.
No.
And the Angel of the North will crop up at St James's Park. Who does the Angel of the North support? Is he Middlesbrough? Is he Sunderland? Is
I
he
reckon he's a
Newcastle?
Sunderland. He looks like a bit of a Sunderland.
No, he's Newcastle because of the newfound elegance of their opulence.
He has
man
got
is
stripes down him now, hasn't he, as well?
He has.
No, she didn't sound like a good... She kept going on about how careful she... And every driver accepts they're careful. If they say they're careful, then they're obviously braking every time, stopping at junctions when there's no need.
This kind of suspicion is exactly what has eroded that essential British institution, the community. You know? We're just afraid of everybody else these days. There was even was it Stephen Norris, the minister in the last government, who said that the reason he drove everywhere was because he didn't want to sit next to any Tom, Dick and Harry.
Yeah.
You know, what sort of an attitude is
I
that?
know.
We're all in this thing together.
Yeah.
And he was Minister for Transport.
He was. You know, they didn't muck about in those days when politicians put their foot in it. Woof. Thank you for your call. No, you're working with me. Steve calls from the side. Steve, you're on Talk Radio. Good afternoon.
Well, a load of rubbish, Tom.
What's this, sir?
Aye?
The thumbs up scheme.
Yeah, absolutely, mate. You've come out with some corkers, but I think this one takes the biscuit.
Well, you'll have to dismantle it.
Right, every motorist surely in Gateshead's going to go for this thumbs up scheme if they're going to get reductions on the car parking, the tax and so forth, yeah?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
How many actual people are going to register and how many is actually going to put the stickers in the window?
I'm not sure what your point is. It's obviously a rhetorical question, but what's your point?
I mean, how's the system going to work where you get a deduction on your tax and your car parking. I mean, people are just going to use it like, say, a disabled badge, where when they're actually going to get the reduction, that's the only time they're going to actually show the thumbs up sticker in the window.
I see what you're saying. There are people who will get the sticker, claim a discount, and not pick up lifts.
Exactly.
But that's people like you, Steve.
Well, not at all.
You see, it's the sort of thought that's gone through your head, hasn't it?
Yeah, but you still not answered the question. What's going to happen today? I mean, what happens if everybody decided to do what I've just said?
They won't, because most people aren't like you. They're like me.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
And they started working and all that.
You got it.
Is that what you mean?
Above board.
So you've got no answer to it then?
I wouldn't have thought of such a low, underhand scheme as you.
I thought you might have had an answer for that, but obviously not.
You've got the mind of a social criminal, Steve.
No, not at all.
You certainly have.
No, not at all. You've got to look at both aspects of it, haven't you?
The answer is, when the police do a check on you always get stopped by a copper once a year. They'll check it in a plate. They'll say, "Where's your thumbs up sticker?" And if you haven't got it, you'll get fined that tax you've got off plus 100% more on top. And then you'll be walking off with the tail between your legs.
Yeah, but who's to say that it's not fell out the window screen and blown out the window?
Doesn't work with a tax disc.
Steve, you spent too long on the wrong side of the tracks, haven't you, pal? Simple as that.
Yeah, but I think we're going off the track a bit, though, aren't we?
Well, it was your idea to talk about this aspect of it.
Yeah, but you've still not come out with the right answer, sort of thing.
Yes, I have. I've explained that there are enough people in life that we can trust for any scheme that depends on the sweetness of human nature to work.
So what about the minority that don't display the thumbs up and get all the benefits?
Steve, there's always people like you. We just have to put up with you and your attitudes and your mentality. We just tolerate you. We laugh at you. We cock a snook at your cynicism and your refusal to cooperate.
All right. All right, Tom.
All right, drive safely.
Cheers then, bye.
Not. Well, I don't mean have a crash, but I mean, you know what I'm saying. Free call 0500 10 53 89. I'm Tommy Boyd. This is Talk Radio. Looking at a scheme which may lessen the amount of traffic on our roads, make the air cleaner for pedestrians and our children to breathe, and also remove the nightmare of the tiny fare, which must be such a burden to our taxi drivers, although I was going to say they never complain, but of course they have been known to. Free call 0500 10 53 89. It's being trial tested in Gateshead, and it's called the Thumbs Up Scheme. It pretty much explains itself. Matthew's on the line from Bristol. You're on Talk Radio. Matthew.
Afternoon, Tommy.
Afternoon, Matthew.
What a load of rubbish. Have you got any idea, Tommy, that it's illegal to take paying passengers in your car unless you're a registered taxi driver?
Yes, obviously.
Yes.
Obviously, every single taxi driver who's ever picked me up has told me that.
Yeah.
What makes you think that anybody doesn't know that? Do you honestly think you're here to tell us all something we don't know? You haven't been paying attention. No payment is involved in this scheme.
A tip?
You're the second caller who doesn't pay attention. No payment takes place.
Tommy, you will pay through your insurance.
Are we deliberately putting hard of hearing people on the radio? Sorry, Matthew, what were you saying?
Your insurance premiums will rocket.
They won't be touched. You haven't done anything that you're not already doing, which is occasionally giving a lift to somebody. What's it got to do with the insurance company, how well you know them?
What if you have an accident in your car?
Same thing as if you have an accident when you're giving the lady from the end of the road a lift. Out of the goodness of your heart. You do that, don't you?
I wouldn't give the lady from the end of the road a lift.
Why not? What's wrong with her?
I don't like her.
Nor do I. Stuck-up cow, isn't she?
You live in my road.
I wouldn't dream of it.
No, I don't blame you either.
I couldn't wait to get out of that area. We're talking Clifton here.
At the moment I'm in Whitchurch. I'm a lorry driver, I am.
Okay. Have I answered all your worries? No payment is involved.
To the best of your knowledge, maybe.
Thank you. Can't do any more than that, can I?
Goodbye.
Goodbye now. Free call 0500 10 53 89. For the international angle on this one, we turn to Paul in Manchester. You're on Talk Radio. Paul.
Tommy,
Sir.
This is a wonderful idea.
Yep.
And I have seen it work in practice overseas.
Whereabouts?
I was in one of the former Soviet states last year, a country called Kazakhstan.
Oh, yes?
And in their capital city, basically every car is a taxi.
There.
And if you are standing at the roadside wishing to travel, you can either wait for a bus or you simply put your hand out, and if a passing motorist wants to stop and give you a lift, he stops.
And if you want to give them some payment...
The whole point is that payment will take place.
And it's calculated, what, beforehand?
Yes, it's a system of barter. I mean, in former Soviet states, everything's done by barter.
Yes.
It's the way they trade. So the driver will wind his window down, you'll discuss the destination, and you'll discuss the remuneration, and if it's agreeable to both parties, then in you hop. And if it's not, well, you wait for the next one to come along.
There are few things more obscene than the sight of a slow-moving British traffic jam in which you have all these cars which are covering 20, 15, 30 square metres of road, and there's just one bloke sat in it.
Sat in it, yeah. Well, this certainly helps to reduce the number of cars on the road.
Yes.
I think the technicalities of insurance and stuff like that, I mean, I think they're minor points. I mean, we should embrace this idea. It's wrong when we have all the cars sitting on the road with just one person in.
Now, we've had lots of women ringing up worried about psychopaths.
Well,
I would imagine you get probably as many psychopaths in Kazakhstan as you do in Britain, if not more.
I think it probably is a problem, but probably no more or less than walking down the road or being a passenger on a bus.
And are the newspapers full of psychopaths rubbing out motorists or hitchhikers in Kazakhstan? No.
They're not. No, I mean they have their own problems, but there's nothing specifically related to the idea of the public taxi service turning on its own passengers. It just seems a wonderful idea. They have a state system of taxis which are more expensive.
Yeah.
But the whole point is that if you stop a motorist at the roadside to subsidise his next gallon of fuel, he's quite likely to take you on board. And it just makes perfect environmental sense.
And it also, I feel, promotes just harmony amongst us all if we're prepared to do this for virtual strangers. When was the last time you gave somebody a lift?
I can't remember.
Oh, really?
I've got to be honest. Well, I mean, you mean a hitchhiker type lift?
No, anybody a lift.
Oh, within the last week, yes, certainly.
Yes, of course. Last time I was in a car, I gave someone a lift. Bill Knott, my friend, last night, gave him a lift home.
Yeah, but I mean, we all do that with people that we know quite readily, and...
Yes.
All right, it may worry people to do it with strangers, but I think... well, the problem is we can worry ourselves into an early grave with these matters, can't we?
Those are very wise words, the words of a travelled man. Travel does broaden the mind and brings wisdom and knowledge. Paul, thank you for that. Greg's on the line from Kent. You're on Talk Radio. Greg.
Tommy, you're talking such a lot of old rubbish again. You've obviously turned up half hour before the programme and thought, who shall I wind up today? I'll wind up taxi drivers. And you've just made it up. It's a lot of old rubbish, and why don't you talk about more interesting subjects? Why don't you do a whole 2 hours on the Northern Ireland problem? Because I'm sure people would love to hear about that. Or an hour like you did on racism.
You can't, you're not going to wind me up.
Huh?
You're not going to wind me up. I know you're trying to wind me up.
No, I'm not trying to wind you up. Don't be silly.
I know.
Who was that last caller? Was that Ash with another line or something?
I know.
Huh?
I know that nobody anywhere on planet Earth wants to talk about the peace process. So, you're not going to get me sort of, angry at you for your tongue-in-cheek
suggestion. Yeah, but you just made this thumbs up thing up. I know you have. Just to wind the taxi drivers up.
Well, I haven't, but supposing I had, so what?
Huh?
The fact is that we're talking about issues here. We're talking about, if I may, in the following order, we're talking about some human beings' inability to interact well. I wonder why you've come to the phone. We're talking about pollution, which, have you children?
No.
No, you see, Greg, you're not the caring type.
Yeah, but it's just like, it's a stupid, it's like a waste of an hour. You've obviously made it up, but it's like that stupid hour you did on glue, a whole hour on glue, and it was boring.
Do you know that was voted? That was voted. That was voted the funniest hour on radio, 1997.
Who by it?
The Mail on Sunday. Not noted for their sense of humour, it has to be said.
Yeah, I know, but it's just so boring, Tommy.
Well, clear off and listen to Radio 5.
I can't. My radio's stuck on Talk Radio, so I can't.
Oh, a feeble excuse.
It's true.
Listen, do you promise me something?
What?
Faithfully.
Never to ring up again?
No, never to listen anymore. I don't want ordinary, bog-standard people like you are pushing the ratings up, and I don't want it.
Yeah, but the hour you did the other day...
could you let me finish? Because you're boring, and I'm not.
I'm going to butt in again, go on then.
I'll certainly butt in on you.
Yeah.
You're a bit of a wally, aren't you? Be honest.
I'm not. No,
yes, you are. I haven't made my point, and I'm going to. If I have bog standard boring listeners like you listen to this programme, then the ratings are going to creep up. When the ratings creep up, then I might have to talk about Northern Ireland and the flipping peace process.
No, what about that hour you did on racism the other day? When you guys had a mini conference, you had about 4 people talking at once. That was brilliant. That
Your problem is that you actually believe, right, that you can come to the radio, right, and tell us things about the peace process, and that a wide audience of people across Britain are going to go, this man Greg really has his finger on the button on what is a very...
I don't.
Do you let me finish? You let me finish?
Yeah.
See? Because I've got an important point to make here. That kind of phone-in radio, right, is such an appalling arrogance and a conceit And it is also in vain in two respects.
Yeah, but at least
One,
it's not-
can
at
I
least
finish? Because I'm talking well here. I'm talking beautifully. I'm
At
using
least
the
it's
English. Will you shut it and let me finish? I've just thought of something beautiful.
At least it's not made up.
It's something beautiful, which is, right, the ambiguity of the word vain.
Mm.
Keats used ambiguity a lot, particularly in Ode on a Grecian Urn. And that kind of that kind of phone in radio, now here it comes, is vain in two respects, right? It is both a vanity to believe that anybody wants to hear your two penneth on the peace process, and it is a vainglorious attempt to contribute to the peace process, because that's got nothing to do with phone-in radio, and especially shallow, childless men like you.
Oh, dear, that's not very
Now,
nice.
do you promise you will clear off and not listen to the radio anymore?
Tommy, can I just ask
Please.
you...
No, I asked you a question. Will you do that?
Can I just ask you
No,
something first?
I want you to answer that question. Will
What's
you
the
not?
question again?
Will you please not listen to me?
I can't help it.
Why?
Unless I buy a new radio.
No, just turn it off when I'm on.
Well, it's boring.
Well, I'm more interesting than not having anything on
your
the radio.
rubbish is more interesting than not listening to any rubbish at all.
Well, I think you're confused, man. What can you do? I'm no man. Ash, do you think there are many listeners like that who are?
Yeah,
confused?
there are a lot out there, but
This is the problem. You see, the ratings are creeping up, and I might have to do some broadcasting.
No, Greg.
Should be a nightmare.
I don't know. I mean, he rings in, and you think people have their own opinion and think they're right, but that's not what. You know, if they did that, you make boring radio.
See, for 50 years, we've had vaguely accessible radio in this country, but it's only talked about important things. I don't know anything about the peace process, and I've been involved in reporting Northern Ireland for 20 flipping years.
Talk radio is about everyday sort of things that people can get on with life and listen and go, oh yeah, not talk about the peace process.
Suppose you're in the pub, right, and Greg comes up to you and he goes, I hear that Mo Molan has said that Sinn Féin may not be allowed to continue in the talks in view of the two murders at the weekend. Do you suppose people are going to swing round with their pints, slopping them across the table, eager to take him up? Or are they going to drift off and have a game of darts? I don't know.
I mean, if you're honest, most people aren't interested.
I don't know anybody. I don't think Mo Molan's interested. I bet you she's more bothered, right, about whether she's got enough milk for the weekend right now. Okay?
Yeah. It's her job. She gets paid for it.
It's a job.
Yeah. Good job, but she gets well paid.
Mo Molan? Not that well paid, actually.
Overtime?
Secretary of State, well, it depends on whether she actually hires a secretary or does her letters herself.
I bet she gets a chauffeur. All
She does
around.
get a chauffeur.
Nice hat on.
Free air tickets.
I like Mo Molan, and I won't hear a word said against her. I like Mo Molan very much indeed. I don't know why. It's an instinctive thing. I look at a politician, I go, like
I
her.
know.
William Hague, I don't know why I don't like it.
It's the face. That's the face. You can tell what somebody is from their face.
Right.
Like that,
now,
man.
people will come at you and they'll say, you mustn't judge people just on what they look like. But you know what Abraham Lincoln said?
What did he say?
Okay, well, the governor of Wisconsin was brought before him as a potential Secretary of State in Abe Lincoln's presidency, and they talked to him for 40 minutes, and the bloke went out. And Lincoln's advisor said to him, what do you think? And Abe Lincoln went, nah. And the advisor said, why not? And Lincoln said, I don't like his face. And the advisor said, you can't reject somebody for the second highest office in the land because you don't like their face. And Lincoln said, after the age of 40, a man has exactly the face he has earned.
Yes.
And so have you, Ash, and so have you, Philippa.
Why did he wear a big top hat, though, man?
Sorry?
Why did he wear a big top hat?
I know, it's a mystery, because he was 6'4".
I know.
To take attention away from his wart, possibly. Which is how people think in the public eye. Don't get any presidents with warts these days, do you? Warts and all. Well, not visible ones anyway, but we won't get on to Bill Clinton. Free call 0500 10 53 89. We're discussing ways of improving the burden on our roads, improving the quality of the air that we breathe, and even lightening the load on our beleaguered knights of the road, those drivers of minicabs and black cabs. Phil calls from West Yorkshire. You're on Talk Radio, Phil.
Fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. What are all these doubting Thomases doing? There's just no imagination at all.
Saddos.
I'm a very good driver. I work back a week about days and nights, and I'll pick anybody up. I mean, I hate driving. It's boring. You know, like 4 hours down till London. Oh, God. Pick a hitchhiker up. You just don't know who you're picking up. You get a bit of conversation, a bit of interaction. Just absolutely fantastic. Brilliant. And this scheme, it's fantastic. I'd do it round town, but people won't trust you.
No.
Right? That's one thing. But it shouldn't be dismissed because of that, because there's no trust with everything, you know. You get all these people, well, it could be a psychopath. It could be that in any walk of life, you know.
Our roads have never been safer, you know, from the point of view of crime. When you think, I mean, what characterised the way the Romans built roads?
Straight
lines.
Straight lines, yeah, most direct route, wasn't it?
Because there were so many ambushes 2,000 years ago.
Yeah.
Right? And then you had highwaymen, didn't you, up until about 150 years ago?
Yeah.
So the history of British roads, I would suggest to you, right, are soaked in blood. But not anymore. What we need to do is reduce the volume of traffic on the roads.
Yeah,
That will cut down the number of accidents.
which would make them safer by definition.
Where are you from, Phil?
I'm actually from Brighouse.
Brighouse. Now, how far is Brighouse from Bolsover?
Well, I don't know, you have to tell me that.
Bradford, then, say.
From Bradford?
Bradford.
Well, about 15 miles. No, about 8 miles.
Is it really?
Yeah, it's not too far.
Fantastic. In the next hour of the programme, we are discussing what happened in Parliament yesterday.
Yeah.
Because the entire Conservative Party in Parliament yesterday spent Prime Minister's question time talking in... It wasn't Prime Minister's question time, it was a debate on something or other. Talking in a West Yorkshire accent, talking in a Bradford accent.
Yeah.
Did you hear about it?
No, I didn't actually, no.
Oh, right. Do you still say things like happen?
Happen?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you still call people thee?
Thee?
Yeah.
Never heard that.
No, you know, the... what's the matter with thee?
Oh, thee?
Thee?
Thee, well, that's like further down in Yorkshire, more Barnsley.
Is it?
Yeah, I've got friends down in Barnsley.
But they do still say thee?
Yeah, what's up with her?
And what about I?
Aye, yeah.
Aye?
Aye.
How would you say aye?
Aye.
Just aye.
What about int barn?
Int what?
Tuh.
Int house.
Int house,
Do you say tuh for thee?
Yeah, occasionally.
Excellent.
I mean, there's many Yorkshire. You don't realise, do you? If you live in London, you think a Yorkshire accent's a Yorkshire accent.
Oh,
but,
yes.
But locally, you can pick. You know, like to me, a southern accent's a southern accent. If you live down itself, you can. You know just where. You know, you've more of an idea of whereabouts
Where's
your locality what it is. Well, with me in Yorkshire, I can pick out. Oh, I bet I could pick out 8 different Yorkshire accents.
Well, what sort of Yorkshire accents Dennis Skinner got?
I don't know. Dennis Skinner. I'm just trying to visualise him.
Okay, look, I'll tell you what. I can play you in a second, Phil. I'll play you a recording of what happened yesterday in Parliament.
Right, that's putting me on the spot.
Yeah, but just have a listen to him.
Yeah.
And if you're listening at home on a radio, turn it up. You'll be able to hear the Conservative backbenchers, right?
Yeah.
All trying to speak with a West Yorkshire accent, which of course they can't because none of them are from West Yorkshire. They haven't got any Conservative MPs anymore. And you will hear
That's
one...
Alice Mann, but we don't like to talk about it.
And you'll hear when Dennis Skinner says, I wonder if the Prime Minister will agree, you'll hear a Conservative backbencher go, happen he will, like that. And then you'll hear them all going, aye, trouble at mill, right, in the background. So have a listen for that. And Phil, you have a little listen to Dennis Skinner's accent and tell us just a little bit more about it after we've had a listen. It only lasts a few seconds.
Yeah.
Here we go.
Dennis Skinner.
Ooh, he's putting me on the spot. I'd say it worked too far. It's definitely not a South Yorkshire accent.
No.
It's not a North Yorkshire accent. I'd put him not so far away from me, really.
From you?
Within, I'd say within, a 20-mile radius.
All right, listen, stay with us if you will, Phil.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've got to fly out into the cab shortly.
No, I'm not working till 7. So
All right,
you're just holding me up for me decorating, but I'm not bothered today.
Hang on there then, because we're going to need in the next hour an expert on the accent, because we're going to experiment with it and maybe even help people to speak in what, if this thing snowballs, could be either a big running joke in the House of Commons, which is how it started yesterday.
Yeah.
Or maybe even, the new way of talking to each other in Parliament. Tony Blair almost picked it up himself. Phil, hang on there.
Okay.
Free call 0500 10 53 89. Let's... It's Talk Radio. I'm Tommy Boyd. We're talking motoring. Nigel calls from London. You're on Talk Radio.
Good afternoon, Tommy.
Afternoon.
I'm sitting in my car with 3 empty seats, listening to your comments about this thumb up a lift, whatever it's called. And I don't think it's a very good idea for 2 reasons. First of all, people tell you not to pick up strangers. That's the first thing. Because you don't know who you're going to pick up. And secondly, they don't know who's actually driving the car. And the other side of it is you had a caller earlier on saying about extra insurance for people if they're fare paying. Well, obviously, these people are not fare paying. But surely your insurance would have to perhaps be amended somewhat, because if you pick up someone who has an accident, you'd have to be perhaps insured for extra third-party risks.
Only if you try really hard, Nigel, does that even begin to be a talking point.
Why is that?
What's the difference between picking up a hitchhiker and giving a lift to a friend of a friend? Someone you never actually met. What's the difference? What's the difference?
Well,
what's the difference?
Well, let me answer, and I'll give you the answer. Whilst I take your points on board, certain insurance policies are different. But what about the point about picking up strangers?
No, what's the difference?
I don't know. I'm not an insurance expert.
There isn't one. There isn't one.
Well, how do you know that?
Well, it's clear.
Have you
It's
ever read
obvious.
insurance policy document?
Absolutely, I will throw myself off Beachy Head naked,
Oh, don't do that.
doused in...
Don't do that.
Why?
Well,
you should
because
care.
You're going to talk tomorrow. You wouldn't want to do that, Tommy, would you?
You should care. The point I'm making is that this is a... you're wrong, basically. Let's not mess about. You're simply wrong to believe that insurance companies are going to pay any attention to people who are giving lifts to other people.
Okay.
Because if they were, they would have already prevented the hitchhiking which has flourished in this country for 50 years, and they haven't, have they?
Okay, well, all right.
Have they?
No, all right.
Why not?
Let me concede that point to you, then, okay? I'll concede that point to you. But what about
Totally and utterly.
But what about... All right,
completely.
Well, bang me over the head with a rubber hammer if it makes you feel happier.
You're naked before
I'm
the
not.
nation. You have
No, I'm not.
Yeah.
But listen, what about my first point, Tommy?
Well, we don't sign up.
Well, I'm not going to sign up.
If you're that frightened, don't sign up. In fact, don't leave the house.
Would you stop and give a lift to a stranger?
Yes, I do.
You're very charitable.
No, I'm not very charitable. You are without charity. It's a crucial difference. My glass is half full.
No, it's not.
Aha.
You're trying to pick a fight, aren't you? I won't be joining into it.
Well, what did you ring up for then? With
I rang up to put my point of view across to it, and I think it's stupid picking up strange people on the sides of motorways or roads. You don't know who they are.
But everybody does it.
I don't.
You should.
I'm not everybody.
It would improve your conversational skills.
No, it wouldn't, Tommy.
It certainly would. There's room for that.
You're doing your best to pick a fight, aren't you? I shall wave to everybody that I drive on by, but I won't pick anybody up.
What sort of a car have you got?
A two-door.
What sort of a car is it?
A German car.
How many people does it seat?
Well, fit four, I suppose. I'm looking around. There's four would fit in it quite adequately.
No, it doesn't. You're not even very good at maths. You can get 5 in your car very easily.
No, 4 really.
5 easily.
All right.
Okay.
Whatever you say.
Right, so you're functioning at 25% of your car's potential most of the time?
Safely.
Mostly?
Well, safely, because I'm not going to pick up anybody strange who I know who actually could stab me or put a knife at me.
Isn't that a bit inefficient?
Not at all.
Oh, really?
Safely, all right. Safely inefficient. And how does that sound?
Selfish.
Well, that's your interpretation.
Well, it isn't really...
I mean, do you stop at bus stops to pick people up? I bet you don't.
It is selfish, really, ultimately, isn't it? You're throwing out...
That's your interpretation.
You're throwing out all that pollution. Okay?
Well,
you're condemning old ladies to stand in the rain. Aren't you?
Well, I'm not really.
You're condemning young mums to struggle home with all that shopping because they're not as well off as you.
Tom?
Have you ever really given a thought to just how selfish it is to drive one of those cars and never pick somebody up?
Terribly selfish. But listen, Tommy, I've got to go because my battery's going to run out of my mobile. But thanks for your conversation. And I shall look forward to seeing you picking up people at bus stops.
I'll have my service call your service, Nigel. We must do lunch.
Do it. Arrange it.
Free call 0500 10 53 89. Mike calls from London. You're on Talk Radio. Mike, hello.
Good afternoon, Tommy.
Good afternoon, Mike.
We would all become, and this is meant as a plus, mobile social workers.
Marvellous.
Wouldn't we?
We would.
I mean, all them little life's problems that befall us that we should speak to our nearest and dearest and our loved ones and our friends, but we don't. Yes. Who better to speak to than a total stranger? Who better to give you that unbiased, unslanted view on your problem?
Fantastic. In fact, what you could do is, just like they have cars with taxi or police on the top, you could have, psychiatrist.
Yeah.
Or, you could have people driving around, experts on, for example, financial matters. So that if you wanted to talk about your insurance policies or your pensions, you could actually flag down somebody who enjoys talking about that sort of thing.
You could have, family problems, work-related problems, couldn't you, on your sticker? So then they could let you go by until the car comes along that best suits their needs.
One of those annoying facts of life, isn't it, Matt, that it's sometimes, it's always easier to talk to a stranger about the things that really matter than to someone you know.
We all do it, don't we?
Don't we? You're a very wise man.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Free call 0500 10 53 89. I'm Tommy Boyd. This is... Paul's our next caller, and he's calling from London. Paul, good afternoon to you.
Hello, Tommy.
Hello, Paul.
Hi. Your little thumbs up thing, it will work. I do believe it will work if like you were to try it, but like the whole point of it was to save money, wasn't it?
Well, there are several points to it, but certainly that is
That's
one.
one major point. Yes, well, if you're going to ask the government to do it, the government won't do it, will they? Will they?
Well,
no, because if the government...
you've outlined both options there. It's a question of which way we jump. Let's say the government would support it.
Yeah, they won't, because they'll lose money, won't they?
What money would that be?
People won't be using public transport, will they? No. Is that true?
I think more people will use public transport if our roads have less traffic on them, Paul. And you must have noticed this last time you got a bus. When was that?
I think it was yesterday evening.
Right. Oh, in the evening. Well, maybe you were able to sluice wherever you were going, but generally speaking, a lot of people find that it's quicker to walk than take a bus in both areas.
Wouldn't you rather get a free ride in a car than a expensive ride in a bus?
Well, it wouldn't be free if you were kind enough to make a small contribution to the petrol, which
but it wouldn't be as much as the bus, will it?
It would vary, but it seems to me that everybody wins. Our buses become less crowded.
Yeah,
the roads become
they also lose money there, don't they?
less crowded. But we had a caller to the Angry Hour on Monday who said that what made him angry was the fact that buses didn't come when they said they were going to, and that's because of the volume of traffic on the roads.
Anyway, can I get back to our point? Anyway, the government won't do it, yeah? And even if a private organisation were to do it, yeah, were to run it instead, then like the government, they need to have a set amount of money coming in each year, don't they? If you take some of that money out, then just going to recoup the cost somewhere else. Whether it's putting 100% of your income tax, whatever, or taking some money out of the money which goes to that little old lady down the road, I think.
Yes. Listen, that's good work. You're working well. You're thinking in the right direction. This is how adults think. They do think like that. A lot of them do. And you're getting there. What age are you now?
I'm 14.
Oh, good for you. This is how adults think, isn't it?
Yeah, anyway, can you get back to the point? So what do you think about them?
And then they talk a bit like you're talking now, which is obviously, you're getting in the right direction, so good.
Don't you agree with me then?
Are you shaving yet?
No, I'm not.
No, have you ever shaved? Just a little bit, borrowed your dad's razor, just had a little nick around with the upper lip there.
No.
No, not yet.
No.
No.
I don't think I'm going to.
You haven't got any straggly white hairs anywhere?
Pardon?
You haven't got any little tiny white hairs that are just sort of thickening up anywhere?
No, I don't think so.
Yeah, because it's a hard time, isn't it, 14? But you're moving in the right direction, Paul. I'm impressed. Thank you for your call.
Okay, bye.
Bye-bye. Quick word with James, who calls in Devon, and then onwards and upwards. James, you're on Talk Radio.
Yeah, hello.
Hello.
The point that I wanted to put across was that, excuse me, about us poor beggars that, I wouldn't say poor, but live out in the countryside that have got no transport except for our cars. And, of course, all the rail networks and all the buses have ceased coming up this way because they say it's unprofitable. And all they're interested in is the profit margin.
Yes, we'll look at transport in the countryside another time, James. Thanks for flagging that.
Tommy?
Ash?
If you're going in next hour, can I have a lift there? Me and Philippa?
Certainly.
Please.
Certainly. £3.80.
Don't forget to subscribe and like. Comment too if you wish. Even slap your legs and make a purchase from Ann Summers. But don't do nothing.